Realism's Daily Deals channel. This is Company of Heroes 3, and we're going to look at the bad and good points of Company of Heroes 3. It's a real-time strategy game which just came out, and it's franchised and developed by Relic Entertainment and published by Sega. Guys, I've got to give my honest opinion about this game. I really like it. I like the realistic gameplay. I like the fact that you can have troops go into this cover system, which is really good. The game takes on this in consideration very well. I also like the suppressing fire system. It gives an extra strategy layer to it. So if you were outnumbering the enemy, it doesn't matter because they might have a caliber machine gun or an MG firing upon you and you have to do something about it. The fact that you can have tanks go into a wall, crumble it, and then all these enemy units are just running away. And I like the artillery and the tanks in it, and you can place artillery in places and be very strategic with that to annihilate your enemies. I also think the fighter planes going into strafing runs are very good. I really like that. It makes it realistic that the Air Force and stuff are very powerful. You can use this ability to destroy an enemy or places. Bombers as well, they have very good advantage. Now the graphics are very good. They have very good detailed environment. The units are very detailed. The tanks are very detailed. Everything really. I think it's one of the best graphics I've seen for a long time, and I think more and more we're going to see more better graphics as we go on in life, getting very, very, very good. That actually some games just look real to me. There are multiple factions in Company of Heroes 3, which involves different artillery groups, like the Indian Artillery Regiment. It includes the paratroopers. It includes other factions, which is great. I mean, this gives more opportunity in the game. Now, there's also the characters and the script of the game, which is quite immersive and well written. And some of the characters in the game actually swear if you take a look at this.
There's a fence and you're stuck and you drive it like a fucking infant.
Now that's funny, right? Well, there's also the multiplayer, which is very intense. And apparently you have a very good community on the multiplayer, and it's quite strong, and you have to compete against each other, obviously. But I haven't really done the multiplayer, but I've heard it's very good. So I might do another channel on that maybe another time and see what we think of that. Now, you can consider this as a con or a pro, but it's the micromanagement system in Company of Heroes 3. I find it quite rewarding because I'm quite experienced with strategy games. So when do I get to the point where I have to use the troop to build an extra flamethrower or something, then it makes it a bit more interesting because I like complex games. But if you were a new user to strategy games and things, I wouldn't recommend Company of Heroes 3. Firstly, because I think you're going to get too overwhelmed, and then you'll find that, oh, you lost this battle, but why did I lose it? Oh, because I didn't pay attention to the micromanagement, and then you might get frustrated, you see. So it's a very, very steep learning curve for new players, I must admit. But if you want a challenge and you're good at strategy games, I think micromanagement system is quite good. Another thing I would like to go on to about is the limited amount of buildings in the game. There are only a certain amount of buildings you can actually build, and then this actually gets a bit boring. There's nowhere really to go from there. If you consider looking at a strategy game like Total War, then you have more options for buildings, for even factions, I believe. There are more options there for you. In Company Heroes 3, it's a bit dead. Now, yes, I think Company Heroes 2 and 3 have very similarities to each other. So if you played Company Heroes 2 and you go into Company Heroes 3, one thing I found was that, it's basically the same stuff. You go into cover, you do this, but the more you play it, I think Company Heroes 3 has improved on its mechanics, and it gives more realistic gameplay, as I said in the start. Now, Company Heroes 3 has done one major thing, which I haven't talked about, is it's included this big grand campaign map, which is good. It does have its own uniqueness, I must admit. You do have troops and you go into different territories and you take them over and you gain resources on the big grand map. And it gives you more of a view of the grander scale of what's going on in the campaign, which is good, but there are some things about it that I feel isn't quite like, for instance, a Total War game, which is a grander campaign. You have more of an epic battles and everything like that, and the actual great campaign map you can actually play on Total War, the great campaign map, just on its own. Like, you don't have to go into the battles really, because there's so much detail on that big map. But in Company Heroes 3 it feels a bit more small scale, so if you move the troop here and then you move the troop there, you only have a certain amount of turns and then you have to end turn. And also when you try to take over a city, you have to have a certain amount of points or power to take it over, which is a bit odd. You can't just attack it and just hope for the best with your small amount of group. You have to have a certain amount of power, which is interesting, I guess, but also they don't explain a lot. And the mechanics and the big campaign map, I don't think in Company Heroes 3 is quite ready. I think it's still in a beta phase, really, in my opinion. Now, that's all I'm going to go into, otherwise I'll bore you guys to death. But if you really like this channel, do give a thumbs up and a subscribe, because then I'll know if I'll make another one and more detailed. So yeah, do let me know what you guys think. And also, I have got my website in the description, and I'll see you guys later.